Election night turns to election morning to election month. We'll explain why it might be a while before America knows who's in control of Congress. Plus, a Republican supermajority did not happen last night, but they still gain ways to check Governor Roy Cooper's power. And inflation was by far the top issue people voted on yesterday. We'll look at what's being done to help your wallet. Hey there, I'm Ben Briscoe. Let's dig into all of it. Yesterday, we were counting down to the polls closing, but today we are counting up. It is hours, 22 hours after the race was over, and we're still waiting for all the ballots to be tallied, especially in some key races across the country. With the control of Congress at stake, some of last night's midterm election results are coming as a surprise to many. Let's dig into where the country's balance of power stands right now.
Thank you so much.
John Fetterman's win over Mehmet Oz in Pennsylvania's Senate race helped lift Democrats to a better night than many expected.
And this campaign has always been about fighting for everyone who's ever been knocked down that ever got back up.
Control of the House is leaning Republican, while the Senate is still up for grabs.
We are not sure if this journey is over.
Georgia's Senate contest is headed for a December runoff, with incumbent Raphael Warnock and Republican challenger Herschel Walker both short of the required 50% threshold.
We're in a fight, are we not? We're in a fight.
In Ohio, Republican J.D. Vance won an open Senate seat. There are still at least 15 toss-up races in the House, but GOP leaders are confident they'll be in control when all the votes are counted.
Now let me tell you, you're out late. When you wake up tomorrow, we will be in the majority and Nancy Pelosi will be in the minority.
218 seats are needed for the majority, and election analysts say it could be a few days before it's all sorted out. When it comes to the issues, exit polls show inflation followed by abortion were most important to voters in this pivotal midterm election. While we're still waiting for several results to come in across the country, we do already know that history has been made. Take a look at what boundaries were broken with yesterday's victories. 25-year-old Democrat Maxwell Alejandro Frost has a message to doubters after becoming the first member of Generation Z to win a seat in Congress.
Gen Z and millennials make up about a third of the country, but we're nowhere near a third of the government, and think we need a government that needs to look like the country.
He was easily elected in Florida's 10th congressional district in the Orlando area. He focused his campaign on stricter gun control laws and abortion rights.
For me, I'm very hopeful. We know that universal background checks are very popular amongst Republicans and NRA members, and we just need the political will to move it forward to literally save lives.
Elsewhere, former White House press secretary Republican Sarah Huckabee Sanders became the first woman elected governor of Arkansas.
I know it will be the honor of a lifetime to serve as Arkansas's 47th governor and the first female governor, the state of Arkansas.
Huckabee Sanders is the highest profile former Trump administration official elected to office. Alabama also elected its first woman to the Senate, Republican Katie Britt. She will succeed longtime Senator Richard Shelby, who is retiring. And Democrat Maura Healey won the Massachusetts governor's race.
We're all in this together.
Not only will Healey be Massachusetts' first female governor, she will also be America's first open lesbian state leader. In Maryland, Wes Moore was elected the state's first black governor. He becomes just the third black person elected governor in U.S. history. It's cool to see history in action. Right now, political experts say we are likely to see Republicans gain a majority in the House, but the Senate, it is a real toss-up so far. Right now, Democrats have 48 seats counted up, and Republicans have 49 at the moment, meaning there are 3 races still up for grabs right now. You heard about Georgia. Democrat incumbent Raphael Warnock is going to a runoff with Republican Herschel Walker. So we won't know where that race stands until December. In Nevada, there's a toss-up between incumbent Democrat Catherine Cortez Masto and the Republican state former Attorney General Adam Laxalt. Right now, Laxalt has a slight lead, but only 80% of the precincts are reporting. In Arizona, CBS News says the Senate race between Democrat incumbent Mark Kelly and Republican Blake Masters is leaning Democrat right now, but only 72% of precincts are reporting there. Part of the holdup on all of this is waiting for all the mail-in, absentee ballots, and military ballots from overseas. They all have to be counted, and they are taking a while to do that. Here's a look at who makes up some of those people voting from outside America.
With midterm election votes already being cast, Republicans and Democrats are getting out the vote outside the country.
And what we've seen again is a steady progression in terms of our group's growth. We're no longer just in London and Paris. We have official groups in 50 countries around the world.
Candace Karaston heads up a group called Democrats Abroad, and they're trying to recruit millions of eligible American voters that are living overseas. In fact, a group called Republicans Overseas is having a similar Get Out the Vote campaign right on its website.
Where are you from?
Texas.
Texas.
You?
Okay. Maryland.
I learned about the fight for overseas votes and the growing number of Americans who say they want to leave the United States for good, and sometimes for political reasons.
As a joke, he had said if President Biden got elected, we're gone, we're out of here. And it happened.
And you're out of here.
And we're out of here.
Democrats are getting frustrated too. A publication called International Living reported a 1,000% increase in web traffic after Roe versus Wade was overturned. Meanwhile, the 2016 election of Donald Trump, George Floyd protests, and the COVID-19 pandemic all significantly drove up clicks for the website Where Can I Live? All of this is possible because of legislation passed in 1986, giving active military and Americans living abroad voting rights in federal elections. The majority of states also give Americans living abroad the right to vote in local elections, too.
When elections get closer, every vote counts, and so there's more incentive to go out and chase those marginal voters who might be overseas.
So how many voters are we talking about? There isn't an official count, but Democrats Abroad puts the number at around 6.5 million eligible voters overseas.
Okay, before you think, wait a minute, they don't live here, they shouldn't get a say. Keep this in mind. The overwhelming majority of Americans who live overseas are still paying taxes here in the U.S., which is why there's bipartisan support right now to allow them to vote in U.S. elections. Here in North Carolina, the State Board of Elections accepts absentee ballots postmarked by Election Day up through November 14th. So overseas ballots could still be trickling in and impacting our election. Now that the election is over and you're starting to see some results, you of course want to check to make sure that your vote was counted. You can do that online. It's pretty easy. The State Board of Elections has a voter history section. When you look yourself up using the voter search tool, you can see this example. It shows you what election you voted in and what method you voted. It will also tell you which county you voted in and what ballot you used during a primary election. If you voted in person during one-stop early voting, those votes are considered absentee ballots. You will be able to see whether or not the vote was accepted on the voter search tool under your absentee ballot section. The status updates the day after you vote, so if you voted early in person, you should see that now. If you voted by mail, you'll be able to see the vote status in that same your absentee ballot section. And if you voted in person by Election Day, your ballot status will only show up in your voter history section. If you don't see it right away, don't worry. Nothing shows up in the voter history section until your county completes their post-election process. It could take a couple of weeks or longer after the election.